The most fun game right now in all of crypto in terms of idle games is on Solana, and it's called DeFi Dungeons. So I'm going to do a full tutorial on this. Before we go any further, the question you're probably going to be asking is, what can it earn? Well, of course, this can go up and it can go down, but this person here, well done. They started with 3.4K and they walked away with 108 US dollars on day one. Decent return. It can go up, it can go down. I just want to show you how to play the game. So you start off by getting an NFT. You can get this from Magic Eden or Tensor or Sniper.xyz, of course. I'm sure you understand how to do that. In this wallet here, in this tutorial, we have 11. They're not all mine. There are some friends as well, just so it makes a little bit more engaging content. And then we come here and we click play, and then we continue with a wallet here. I've already connected to Solflare, so we'll go ahead and we'll approve. And we're diving into the game. At this point, make sure you put my referral code here, SebMonty. That way you get 25% discount when you're doing various things actually in the game, like trading fees as well. And you probably will end up trading some NFTs. So let's enter and let me show you what we can do at present and where we can go. So here under quests, this is where I currently have all the NFTs. If we put them into questing, there's no time limit. They could stay here for a couple of days or longer if you're too busy. And what they're going to get in here is they're going to get a little bit of loot, but also some actual keys to enter the dungeons. Over here, we've got the tavern. This is probably the most important thing to start off with. We click on the tavern, and you may have bought a little bit of gold. You can buy this from Dupe. You can see I've got a tiny amount of gold here. So we come here, and then we just click on banking, and we put in what we're depositing. It doesn't autofill at this stage. I'm sure it will very, very soon. I've got such a tiny amount, but I'm going to do it just so you can see. 6.5. You know what? It doesn't even want to take a decimal. 6. Click on deposit, and then it'll take my 17 cents of gold, and it'll put it into the game. Now, if we do any withdrawals, when we no longer want to upgrade or keep the gold in the game, there is a 5% withdrawal fee, and that's one way to keep tokenomics under control with the actual game. And that's good. You can click whatever you want, half, max, or type in what you want, and you can withdraw it. So that's where you do that, banking. Other things you can do in here is if you have a banker, which is also an NFT in this collection, but it's more expensive, you stake them under here. I have none, and they end up collecting loot from everyone that's doing loot exchange, or not loot, rather gold from everyone that's doing loot exchange. We'll cover that a little bit later. Weekly chest is not live yet, and item vault we'll cover a little bit later. Up the top, you'll normally see this prompt when you actually start, but this is where you manage your characters. If it doesn't prompt for you, you can import to Night Vale. You can just prompt them here or export them to your wallet. They're currently all on a quest, and so we can't actually export them. So we'll get out of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the quest and I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so these have been active for quite some time, and we've been getting keys. Each of these has different levels. The higher the level, the better. We'll cover that. And we can see the levels down here that we've actually upgraded to. We can also see a combat level right here. This is 48 and so on. Now, this is all determined by a random number generator. So even if you do one quest for an hour, you might not get anything. That's just the way it works. Sometimes I put one in and then I've claimed it after 15 minutes and I got something. So I'm going to claim them all and we'll see what we ended up getting. Okay, so we can see with these 11, we ended up getting 536 gold. What does that equate to right now with today's prices? If we go and sell 536 gold, that is $15, so a little bit there. And then we've got these different keys. These keys allow you different access into different actual dens. Some of them are far rarer, and we'll go over that shortly. Now, before you actually get into the dungeons, into these dens, you do need to do some sort of training. So you come to the training tab. Now, training itself is where you can do free upgrades, but free upgrades are not quite possible yet. So it's where you just devote time, and instead of questing or doing things in the dungeons, you can upgrade your points. But you can do a stat upgrade. This is where, if you use my referral, there is a discount on the amount it costs to actually upgrade. So you definitely want to use that referral. So here, as an example, we can go and we've got 2,808. We can go and upgrade. At present, the max is 100, and there are different strategies on what you can do. I generally believe it's better to go power and vitality, and then later fortune and luck. You can also do a bulk upgrade where you might want to keep things fairly balanced. So you go through and go, okay, well, that's kind of low, that's low, that's low, that's low, that's very low. Probably unskip that. And we might say, okay, let's just go 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, and we go and purchase. Something like that. You can do it like that as well. We'll purchase them. Then we will click on this one, and maybe we want to upgrade this a little bit more, to be perfectly honest, because it's very, very low. And it won't do very well if we go into the actual combats. But I think I'd like to show you how it actually works. That way it'll be a little bit better for your visual representation. So you need to start questing first in order to enter the dungeon so that you've got the keys. So after you've done that, you come in here. Raids will be coming later. This is where you join a friend, then you get amongst it together. But in the meantime, we jump into these ones. It all depends what you have in your bag as well. So if we come up here to our bag, we can see we've got 1 Frostbound Keep Key, and then 4 Ancients, some Thieves' Dens, and then Forgotten Grove. If you're starting out, you're probably going to get this one initially and then this one. You have to upgrade a little bit to get here, but this is where there's more rewards. Then you go into the dungeons, and this needs a combat level of 80. So you jump in here, and then there's no loot to claim yet, but you can see the chance to kill is 55%. So we can put this in for 15 minutes. Every time we enter a dungeon, it's 55 minutes, and sometimes we're going to fail. 55% of the time we will win, and then we're not going to win all the other times. Now, I will come on back to this in a little bit as well, but what I do need to show you is if you've got any loot that you can add as equipment, you can go and hover over here and go and equip it. You can see I've got various items here equipped, but I don't think I have any more. This stuff here, we can't trade with another person. We can't sell it for gold, and we can lose it. But, you know, it basically helps us power up. I don't have any extra equipment that's not being utilized, so I'm good to go. I'm going to jump into this one first and jump on here. Of course, I need a minimum combat level of 80. So this here has my combat level of 62 and it's 80. And if I click on this, the chance that I'll kill it is kind of low, and the chance I'll lose an item is kind of high. So I'll see if I can do it, but you can see it's not good odds, to be perfectly honest. So what I'll do is I'll try it out and I'll send it, and we'll just see what happens, knowing full well that this may not be a successful mission. So that one's active. You can see it up here in the active tab, and we'll be ready to get it off out of the dungeon in 14 minutes and 47 seconds. In the meantime, we're going to go back and we're going to jump into the ancient tombs. Here, I've got a couple of keys for the ancient tombs. As you can see, I've got 4 of them, and we'll jump in here and we'll have a look and see which ones will be potentially decent here. So if you have a combat level of 60, your chance to kill is 60%. These are good odds, pretty good odds. Obviously, if we went with something really low, there'd be no point. I've got 4, but I don't think it's worth risking that, to be perfectly honest. That's not worthwhile. That's certainly not worthwhile. So I'm just going to add these 2. And even though I've only got 4, I'll have 2 left over for another occasion. It might be better to take 2 more powerful ones and put them back in here. Then, actually, we'll just quickly show you one more time, jumping in here. You can see all of the loot that they can potentially get, as well as what it's worth. So 100%, they're going to get this, which is worth 32 gold. And then this is 26%, that's 40 gold. And then there's some stolen treasure, and there's some cool equipment here. And this helps level yourself up. So the more stuff we equip, the higher our combat level. We can lose it, of course, but there's a chance that we get some equipment as well. So I definitely want that to happen. And there are 3 different types So you've got the mages here. And then if you hover over here, you've got the marksmen. And then these ones are the warriors. I don't know which one's the best for fighting yet. I don't know how we can work that out, but we'll be able to work it out. And then we'll let you know. But in the meantime, I think just a mixture of them is quite a bit of fun. All right, so we've entered into these ones. Now we'll jump into Thieves' Dens and jump in here. So this one, we've got 8 keys. So we'll go with this one, high chance of killing, perfect, and lower rewards, of course, because it requires a lower powered NFT. We'll go with these ones. This one's still high. This one is 65%. This one, and of course, if we did add level 1, like this is not going to be worth it. You could try it, but you're highly likely just going to not do very well. So we'll save that for later on. I think these will be worthwhile. We've got 8 and we'll use 5 on this occasion. So we'll send these 5 NFTs. Great. The final one is going back to the Forgotten Grove. This is where everyone can jump in. Initially in the docs, it did say that you needed a combat level of 20, but that's not the case. You're actually good. Chance to kill, 70%, requires a key. Items can be lost. Easy peasy. So we've got 10 keys, and of course, we may as well put them all in here. And this has a 70% chance. Send them and confirm. Now we just have to wait approximately 15 minutes. So we'll pause the video and we'll come on back. But first we'll just go over anything else that you may need to know. So summoning, this is where you can summon another NFT. It's not live yet, it's coming in the future. And then in the Tavern, there's quite a few other things here which it's not live yet, such as staking your actual gold. That's not live yet. In the loot exchange, if we jump in here, you can see all the loot that I have that I can sell. You can do it a couple of ways. You can wait 2 hours and see if it changes value, because it may change value. I'm just not that patient. I don't think many of us are. You can see different loot and their rarity commands a different price. This is far nicer. So I'm just going to sell it all, get my 536 gold, and then I am happy. You can see bankers take a 10% tax on each loot item sold. There's only 250 bankers. They're selling for quite a premium, well over 20 sol, and you can just do the math. I don't know how much is going through here all the time, but it'd be, hundreds of thousands a day, and then 10% is going to the bankers. So the bankers do command quite a premium. Also here, we've got an item vault. This is generally where we can see all of our different items. They're not all showing up for me here, but when we get new items, they'll normally be shown here for whatever reason. But we can also see in our heroes, when they're questing or on a trip, they will load. And when there's not actually something that's blocking the view, we'll be able to see which ones actually have some sort of item. It is a good idea to upgrade or to add the items to upgrade the power of your NFT, because there's nothing else that you can do with the item. You can't sell it for anything. You can't trade it with anybody. You can just use it. You use it and you end up having more of an edge. And you can lose those items when you go into the dungeons, but that's just part of the game. The other cool thing about this portal is you can see where everything is. If there's anything on a banking trip, if you've got a banker, questing, if it's idle, you don't want to leave things idle. And of course, in the dungeon trip. Now, when we're talking about strategy, of course, the goal is to make as much gold as we can, sell the gold, take some gold out of the game, swap it for Sol, DeFi with it, stake it, etc. But before we get there, what is the optimal strategy? So in order to actually be successful, you do need to upgrade your NFTs to a higher level to have a little bit more fun. And if you're playing with one NFT, it's still fun, but the failure, like how much time you have to spend, it doesn't make it as fun. It is better if you can try and accumulate 2 or 3. Just from experience, that's kind of how it works. The other thing is you want to quest probably overnight. You definitely want to quest overnight and when you're busy. And then maybe for a couple of hours a day, you want to jump into the dungeons as fast as possible. And then maybe an optimal strategy is you take half or a little bit more of your gold and you upgrade with it. And then you take the other gold and you sell it for Sol as a possibility. But the selling part, I haven't actually started yet, to be perfectly honest. We're still very, very early in the game. The game hasn't unlocked everything, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for quite a few months, maybe even the entirety of this remaining crypto cycle. To be hopeful and perfectly honest, it's a fun game. One thing is, don't be idle for too long, and when training opens up, you can do some training, but I don't know how worth it that would be. I think it's going to be more worth it to go questing, actually sell the loot, and then just pay for the upgrade. So you quest, and then you get into the dungeon trips. Now there is a marketplace coming. It's not here yet, but this is fantastic because it means every time you want to buy an NFT or sell an NFT, you can do it via the game. So it has reduced fees compared to Magic Eden, a 25% reduction on fees if you use the referral code, and then it keeps everything nicely inside the game. Okay, so now, unfortunately, I had a small glitch with recording this, but I can show you a little bit of the history. Recently, we did manage to find quite a bit of stuff. In fact, we did quite well. We've got a decent amount of loot, which I'll show you. This is not working correctly for everything, and we actually did good for everything except for this one. It didn't get anything. We got some equipment, so now I want to go to My Heroes and start applying it. This one I just applied, which beefed us up nicely. I also grabbed these. It beefs it up nicely because it was about 60. It wasn't high enough. Nothing there, nothing there. We may have some other stuff, so I like to just go over and add as much stuff as I can, but we need quite a bit more loot. And there's different loot for different classes as well. It is a better idea that you upgrade your best NFTs with loot whenever possible. I think this is pretty much all of our loot. Maybe there's a few more swords or something. Oh, here we are, musket. Another musket. Perfect. And then in terms of the actual loot that we managed to get, we can go into the tavern, go to the loot exchange, and we got 372 gold worth. So kind of sizable. We'll sell that all. Remember, if we have to withdraw that, if we decide to withdraw it, then that would be minus 5%. So we'll sell this all. It's not going to a middleman, it's just going direct to the game. And 372 for 15 minutes of work is like $10. So, you know, a bit of fun indeed. I think this sale has gone through. If it doesn't, just keep in mind, like, this is day 2 of the game being open, and there will be some minor server glitches coming up, and the team, they've got experience, so they will be able to ship things to improve things. We haven't worked, so we'll try and sell a little bit. I'm going to refresh and we'll try again. And I believe the sale did actually go through. It just took a little bit of time to load. So now it's bedtime for me, so I'm going to put them all back into the quests and then leave them to quests overnight. And then when I wake up, back into the dungeons, I'm going to use all the keys up. I'm going to take some of my gold, which isn't currently loading, jump into the training grounds, get amongst over there, beef up some stats, and then return to some quests, and then do a few more dungeons before back to quests overnight. That's my plan. That's my strategy. What is yours? Let me know. And happy role-playing with DeFi Dungeons.